All right, everybody, we have Paul Rodriguez and Ryan Sheckler up here. You guys continue to have your drinks and food while we chat about some X Games memories. I'm Jaime Owens. I do a magazine called Closer Magazine. I used to work at Transworld and Skateboarder. There's another mic right there.
Yo, can you guys make your way to sit down, please? I'm sorry. If you guys want to take the conversation, let's bring the conversations outside. Let's start this panel. We got legends sitting here. Come on, show some respect. Please, God forbid.
These guys have bled. These guys have bled for this.
I don't know him. My bad. I don't know who brought him.
That's your guy.
Whose guy is that? Whose man is that? What's up, Paul? What's up, Ryan? Thank you guys for being here.
Hi, Jamie. How are you?
Good. It's been a while. You guys good?
It has. It's been a minute. Yes.
What's it
Yes.
feel like to be back at X Games after starting your careers at this contest?
Feels cool. I mean, this feels like the vibe, like I love being the energy, like just the memories, like so much nostalgia coming back. It feels weird though, like being on this side of it now, like not competing. But I kind of like that too, like no stress. I'm just here to hang, can float around, do what I want, not be like so locked in. Yeah, that's about it for me.
What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, it feels crazy. Feels crazy walking back in and like doing the whole, parking, getting the credentials, signing everything, getting the insurance card in. It's like, it feels good, man. It feels good to be back here. Like walking through the athlete lounge, you can tell the energy's like real high. Everyone's stoked to be in California. And it's cool that it's all like in one location. Again, like X Games for me was always super exciting because I knew I was going to get to go watch Rally Car and Freestyle Moto and the BMX dudes and Mega Ramp. Like it wasn't just about our aspect of sport, which is skate. That's literally how I made all my friends in action sports was coming to the X Games and going and watching other people's events and just getting stoked, So it's cool. It's cool to I kind of get here and I like was psyched I wasn't competing, and then now I'm like really want to compete, but also excited just to skate on Saturday and do a demo.
Yeah, I heard there's a Legends demo. Like all you guys are going to get out there and skate around.
You mean the old guy demo? Yeah.
Bro, that's literally what it is. That's what it is. I was trying to explain it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm super excited.
How
Feels
competitive? How competitive you're going to get out there and start trying to throw?
We'll find out in the moment. I know this guy at demos. I know we're gonna see some things. But to say what he was saying, like I was psyched to not be competing, but then there's something about that thing inside of you that everyone's competing. You still got that itch, So it's a little conflicting.
For sure. And the course looks great. X Games always does a really good job of making something very creative and a course that flows. And it's not your run of the mill skate park that we see a lot in competition right now. It's more fun. It's a lot more fun. So I always remember that with X Games, like really enjoying the course layouts and the transition and just having a different style of contest.
Yeah, it was always super creative and very street oriented, which is pretty rad, right? What about go back to your first win when you first got your first gold medal at X Games, like what that meant and that frame.
That was a trip, it was a trip because I feel like at that time, I was 13 years old and I just got invited to skate at X Games, as an amateur. And for me, it was a crazy experience because there was no nerves. I didn't understand the significance or what it was going to do for my career at all. I was just there to skate with the guys I looked up to and wanted to be around and aspired to be like, and found myself, landing all my runs. And I think the only reason I landed my runs because I was super present. I was like enjoying the moment. I was there. And I learned something about that day competing which was if I'm smiling and I'm present, I can normally do really well. If I overthink the contest, if I worry about what everybody else is doing, I've immediately already beat myself and I'm out of the hunt. So yeah, it was a cool win, but it also taught me a lot that I applied to the rest of my like competitive skateboarding career. So X Games always holds a huge spot in my memory bank and in my love for competitive skating.
Sure, that's awesome. What about you, Paul? Talk about your experience.
Yeah, similar like what he said. The first time I was able to get a win at the X Games was at Staples Center, and I wasn't really like a contest skater yet at that time. That was like just getting started, and I was pretty casual about it. Didn't have any expectations. Didn't like. I was just stoked I got invited because it was just an invite only, and I was like, "Wow, they want me to come. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm down to go." And I'm skating with Costin and Muska and all these guys, and I'm just like stoked to be there with like my heroes, and I'm like, "Oh, this is a cool course. It's right here at Staples Center. This is awesome." Like it was pretty free and chill, and when you're a teenager, you have all the energy in the world. You don't really get sore. So I just wanted to skate. I skated all practice, and then I just couldn't wait till the contest started. And I just was psyched, and it all flowed. You're able to get into that flow state, and it just worked out. And yeah, and then from then on, I was hooked. I just wanted to skate as many contests as I could.
What was that, the one with Muska, when Muska was all hyping up the crowd and skating outside of the state?
No, that was the year before.
The year before.
That was 2003, and Muska, and that's when Costin won. He showed up like 5 minutes before it started, and he won. And then I think I got third that year.
Yeah.
But then the next year at the same spot, I was able to get it there.
Fuck, that's awesome. What about the progression of the contest nowadays with you guys looking back at your runs that won back then and what kids are doing now in the contest? Like, talk about seeing this next generation of skaters and how impressive it is and how consistent and like what that is, like what it's like to see. Watch from you guys' perspective.
I mean, it's the level and the bar just it's growing and raising so fast. Just from like 5 years ago to what's going on now is just like, it's just going at such a rapid pace that I can't even recognize how this is happening. But I suppose like, in our era, the guys before us were probably looking at our generation like that, and then so on and so forth. So that's just the natural progression of things. And skateboarding is like it's like an instrument, like you can never play every song there is to play on a guitar. And skateboarding, like the game never ends. There's always new things to be done, always new obstacles, always new tricks, always new combinations. So I think it's going to always kind of just keep evolving. I can't even imagine what will be being done in the next 5 years.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Yeah, that's well said. I mean, I look at it now and I'm like, it's a trip, it's a trip. And I just hope, and like what I've been really trying to convey, especially to younger athletes coming up right now, is like, skateboard because you're in love with the feeling of it, not for the result of a contest or any accolades that might come with it. If you lose the passion or you lose the art for why you skateboard, then it just becomes like a mundane, everyday activity that like you eventually won't like anymore. I skate because I'm obsessed with the feeling that like vibrates through my board when I'm skating down the street. Like when I learned how to skate, I learned how to like ollie and then maybe pop shove it, then 180, then kick flip. I didn't learn how to ollie and then go learn how to tray flip nose grind, And that's what I'm seeing these days, which is super dope. Like if you have that ability and you have that opportunity to do that, do it.
Yeah.
But also for me, what's really important is like, don't lose the love of the art and the feeling of what skateboarding is. And so that's what I hope these youngsters coming up like realize, that it's like the streets and the video parts will always live forever in skateboarding, And so like that's what that's what I hope they chase.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that too. As far as contests are like really important for a skater, you know, a lot of skaters, but filming in the streets is what you guys were raised on, right? Like winning contests is amazing, but putting out a video part was something that you really set your like goal for, right? So
Yeah, I mean, that's what I fell in love with. You know, I didn't know about contests till a little while into it. You know, I fell in love with skateboarding from videos,
Yep.
from magazines, from seeing people skating outside in front of my school. You know, so like to me, that's where the magic is. So I think that's of course the foundation of any skateboarder's career. And don't get me wrong, contests are very important. I put a big importance on them in my career as well. So, but my whole goal was to make sure both sides of the columns were evenly filled. You know, that was always the aim. And yeah, I don't know. And they're two different type of satisfactions. Like I love filming a part because you're trying to push your limits, your level of what you're capable of, and it doesn't matter how long it takes, how many times you have to go back to try to get the trick. You just keep going, keep pushing yourself, keep pushing yourself. You have this vision in your mind that you're trying to accomplish, and you just are going to try until either you get hurt or you get it. And like I love that feeling when it finally works out and you finally get that clip and it's there, it's on the timeline, and you're like, yes. But then in contests, it's like, okay, do the hardest thing you possibly can, like right now, this try. That's it. And like, I really love that feeling too. That's a different type of adrenaline. Like, okay, right here, right now, all the people are watching. It's go time. Like to be able to overcome your nerves and like all the like distractions that are going on, and to like get yourself to focus in and execute it and land it right when you need to. Like that's a different kind of rush as well. So
Right, yeah.
I don't know. I love them both, and I think they're both important. So I guess if it's advice, my advice is to, you know, as a professional skateboarder, I think it's very important to be well-rounded in those two areas.
yeah, not just strictly a contest skater. But talk, Brian, you just put out your
Yep.
lifer part and stuff, like what that meant to like in the ranks and your
Yeah, I mean, without the street parts from all the dudes that I looked up to, like I would not have even understood like how significant me going to X Games was, you know, like I only knew about the guys that I was going to go compete with because of their video parts, you know? And for me, growing up skating, like I grew up street skating, but not really filming, just like going and actually just being present with my friends and skating spots and trying to learn. And once I saw Toy Machine, Welcome to Hell, I was 6 years old. That's when I was like, okay, we should probably start filming. That's when Dad starts filming, you know, and you wanted to start working on a part, and it was like super fun. But then also like California Amateur Skateboarding League was around, and I just enjoyed skateboarding in general. So like Paul was saying, it was like for me it was being well-rounded. It was like can I skate competition, can I skate street, and can I skate vert? You know, I wanted to be able to skate everything, and I think that's transitioned and like transformed the style of skateboarding that I do, because I do enjoy skating everything. You know, I was at Woodward for the last 3 weeks and like skating vert, put pads on, like still got a little bit of air, you know, like still feeling it. And just like I always try to brush up on every aspect of my skateboarding, because at this point in my career, that's what's keeping me going, is the fun of skateboarding. Why I started skateboarding in the first place was like, it was exhilarating, it was painful, it was scary, it was everything and every emotion that you could possibly experience all in one. And it was ready for me whenever I wanted to get on it. And so, yeah, skateboarding, just skateboarding advice right now for me and like everybody that's coming up is just like have fun with it. Like scare yourself, you know, like scare yourself. That's where the magic happens. Like that's why that lifer part, which is by no means my last part, I'm already working on another one, is like I needed to have lifer come out, and it needed to be the way that it was, because I was trying to convey like a feeling, you know, like basic tricks done somewhat well on scary spots, you know, like the the basis of skateboarding for me. And it was super important. It was super important to get that part done. Yep. And especially the last trick. Like, I needed that last trick to be somewhere in California. I wanted to have a local spot as my last trick. And everything has been so destroyed throughout California that unfortunately that was the only spot that was like still open to do something on. So it took 3 years.
You definitely skate
Wow.
scary spots. So definitely understand that for you. How does the tail drop compare to the kickflip at Costco?
The Costco kickflip was like manageable because I had so many people there and I was in that mindset, kind of like Paul was talking about earlier. It was like I was young and super bouncy and I could take that impact no problem. And I was like super locked in. You know, fast forward to 33 years old and having to jump down that thing, I think it was like 68 times. It was a car accident every single time. And it like, I could only do 10 to 12, 13 attempts every time I went there. And then, I had an injury in between and then got a couple injuries trying it. But that's the obsession. That's like, I lost so many like hours of sleep thinking and like processing it, but it taught me something. I always learned something from these like long battles. And with that one, I decided like 2 weeks before the final attempt, I did 100 tail drop kickflips a day off of anything, off of everything. And that's all I did. I didn't do any other tricks. I would do 100 and that was it. That was my session. And so I would just turned into like almost methodical about it. And so when that one did flip around and it hit my feet, I had already like knew what to do.
Wow, that's amazing. Paul, like you are methodical with flip tricks and stuff, right? Like you would sit and do hundreds of kick flips, switch flips, like flat ground, right? Like what was your regimen like when you're trying to film video parts like that? Like,
Well, similar to what he was saying right now, just about the tail drop kickflip, like as you get older, you have to find ways to be more efficient.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like
energy.
you have to like plan like, okay, well, I need to do this and then I'm going to be sore tomorrow. So I need to take it easy tomorrow so that I'll be fresh on the day I want to go. So I'll practice these few days, chill for a couple of days, then be fresh that day. Like you have to be more planned out. But yeah, of course, when you're teenager in your early 20s, it's just, you're just like, where we skate today? Just take us anywhere. I'll skate 5 spots a day. You know, that's the beauty, that's the love. But you know, if you want to keep it going as you get older and you want it to feel like you're keeping your standards and your quality high, I find for me that like I have to know what I want to go film. I have to know what tricks I want to do, the spot I want to do it on.
Yep.
And I prepare for it leading up to it. Then I'll go on a weekend, try to film it. Either I get it or I don't. And if I don't, go back to the park all week, work on it, go back to the weekend, and I'll do that as many times as I have to until I get what I want.
Yeah.
Because like at this point for me, it's not about just stacking clips on a timeline. It's like, you know, it's like quality over quantity. Like it's like, all right, I want to get what I want, and I don't care how long that takes. I'm just gonna keep pushing until I get it. So for me at this point, that's the formula for me.
Yeah.
That's working. And so you definitely have to be a little more planned out than you ever were before. It used to be more spontaneous, like just take us wherever, we'll figure it out. But just the name of the game, man. That's where we're at now.
And you guys aren't the little.
Those days are gone, man.
What about like are you guys seeing like Tony Hawk, Guy Mariano, those kind of skaters still pushing themselves like into their 40s, 50s and stuff? Does that give you hope that there's still so much time? You guys are still young compared to that, so you still have so much time to keep pushing yourself for video parts, for clips or whatever.
Yeah, of course. I mean, as long as my body's working and as long as the passion's burning, I'm going to be trying to push myself to whatever level I can be. But there is that part of me that's like, I mean, I'll do that regardless, but
Yeah.
there's a part of me that's like, okay, dude, as soon as like your skateboarding is like, you don't feel like it's at all relevant, then I'm done, bro. I've always told myself I'll be done from doing that, not from being out and skating and doing that. Like I'll still skate for however long I can, but I definitely call it my ego or whatever you want to call it, but like I can't
You don't want to look
I
sloppy.
can't. Yeah, I don't want to like put anything out and then just be like, oh wow, that's wow. Remember when he used to be good? Like I can't take it, man. I just put too much dedication over all the years, too much effort to try and set a certain bar. I don't want to fall too much below that bar, and then just like keep trying to hold on for no reason. Like I'll walk off into the sunset and go skate flat ground with my boys, off camera.
You're not trying to put out some rocket flips and
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
chilling. What about you, Ryan?
I mean, that's a valid fear is to like have the day where skateboarding doesn't feel like skateboarding,
Right.
you know? I think that's why we take our physical therapy, diet, exercise like very
Yeah.
seriously, because that's the only way I can skate the way I want to skate right now is if I train 3 days a week, if I eat properly, if I stay hydrated, like if I take care of my body, I can do the things that I want to do, but I can so easily go the other way. And I could so easily, like P-Rod was saying, is like go into the ego of like, oh, I've already done it. I've already done it. I'm a skateboarder through and through. Like I don't need to do it anymore, but I can't do that. Like I don't have that in me to just like kind of lay down and be done with skate. It goes back to that first question. It's like, how does it feel being here? It's like, it feels dope being here. Does it feel cool being in a Legends event? Yeah, it does. But it's like, man, how did we already got that to that point? Like, I'm not considered to compete anymore.
How'd that happen so fast? Yeah.
You guys are still,
And I don't think it's malicious or anything like that. Trust me. I'm like, don't put me in the contest. I'm good.
Yeah.
But, those thoughts go through the mind, and I want to skate for a long time. I'm expecting another child in the next like 10 days, and
congrats.
yeah, another girl. And my 15-month-old right now is already like obsessed with the board. So like for me, I owe it to my family to stay in shape and to stay healthy, so that if my kids want to do anything athletic or active, that I can be there and I can like help and do that and try to beat them for as long as possible.
Always a competition.
So like if I'm not competing here, everything's a competition. It always is and it always will be. And like I think that's what keeps skateboarders sharp too. I'd never want to lose the love of the feeling of skateboarding. And like P-Rod said, like if it ever comes down to that point, I think that's another beautiful thing. Like P-Rod owns Primitive, I own Sandlot Times. And so if it ever does get to that point, I'm just going to pour even more knowledge than I already am right now into my riders and like hopefully help them pursue the path that they want to pursue. And I know P-Rod's doing that with his squad, and will always be a part of skateboarding. It will never not be a part of who I am, but it's not the whole thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was going to maybe wrap up almost with, you guys are both like prodigy skaters that came up super young, been through like you're veterans now for 25 years or whatever. If you could go back in time and give your younger self advice, what would you tell your younger self to do different or the same now that you've had a lifetime of experience in the skate industry?
That's tough, because to go back and do that means you would change something. You would change something. It might alter, the future. I think my younger self had it more together than my current self.
Really?
I think he needs to give me advice now. I think it needs to be the opposite way, is how I would say it. I would leave younger Paul alone.
All good. He's
Yeah, and just tell him to come to the future and like whip me into shape now. Yeah. That's what I'd say.
And I think I was the opposite. For real. Going back and thinking about it now, it's like, getting beat by Paul so many contests in a row because he would skate a whole run switch. Like I would have told my young self to like skate regular and switch, because P-Rod's going to beat you.
Yeah, there you go.
That's pretty much it. Everything else worked exactly how it was supposed to.
Yep.
Because now we're at a stage of our lives where we have knowledge, and I believe that God gives you these crazy challenges in life to be able to share how you got through that with somebody else who's struggling. And I struggled a lot personally.
Yeah.
Everything looked like it was under control, but it was not, you know, and I had to fight through a lot of things and a lot of hate in skateboarding and a lot of love as well, for sure. But the challenges that I made it through, you know, the alcoholism, like I've gone through a lot of stuff in my life, and to be sitting right here, right now with P-Rod at X Games, talking about skate, getting to skate this weekend, you know, like made it through it. But
Life is good.
there's a lot of kids coming up right now that like are struggling with some of the same things that I went through. And I actually have the opportunity to not tell them what to do, to just explain to them what happened to me and allow them to make that choice if they want to go, you know, right or left. And I think that's the coolest thing that's happened to me in my skateboarding career is the amount of gnarly life lessons that I've had to endure.
Yeah, and
But we're still here.
and it makes you the person you are today. That's amazing.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Whoa. Maybe one more. What do you got? Let's talk about any project you're working on, new video part. What do you got coming up, Paul?
Yeah, I'm filming a part right now. I'd like to have it done by either end of the year or early next year. Shooting an interview with Atiba for Thrasher for that. So that these days that takes complete focus. Like that's really all I can handle on my plate right now.
No other.
So yeah, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot. Trust me, man.
Well, yeah. Being a magazine guy, I want to know what's your first photo you got in a magazine? Who'd you shoot it with? And do you remember what you did with the photo?
First photo in a magazine, it might have been honestly the cover of the kids issue, Big Brother, which was gnarly.
controversial
I think
Big
Rick
Brother.
Cossack shot it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a crazy one to have.
I think
as
that
your
was
first
my
photo.
my intro into skate mag world.
Making the 9 o'clock, the 7 o'clock news.
Yeah, I was never even allowed to read the magazine, like until years later.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
about you?
crazy. Mine was Transworld did an article about skateboarding in the San Fernando Valley, and I was just starting to get a little local buzz in the area, and a couple of my older friends who were also trying to get a shot for it in there recommended I come out with them, and it was with Mike Blayback. And it was a kickflip off this ledge that's still there today. They kind of like knobbed it so you can't ride off it. It's off the side of a building.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a kickflip off this ledge. And I was so hyped. It was the first time I ever like dealt with a flash because it was
Yeah.
like kind of almost getting dark and like having to deal with a flash blinding you as you're going down a gap. Yeah, that's my first time in a magazine ever. Yeah, Transworld Valley issue or Valley article.
The Valley.
By
baby.
1999, 98.
98.
Yeah, maybe 98, maybe 99, somewhere in that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I know you both. Yours was late 90s too, right? That Big Brother was 97 or 98. That's crazy.
Yeah, probably 97 because I was 8.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty great. Been in the game for a minute. Yep.
Jeez.
Well, cool. Guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you guys for joining and
Yeah, of
listening. Or
course.
whatever.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, legends.